Hello everybody and welcome to Getting APIs to Work. In today's episode I want to briefly talk about my watch, which I love, but I think it does show some of the things that I discussed recently in this video about the Remarkable tablet, where I said that this product could be much better if the people designing it had actually thought about APIs. And I think the very same thing is true for Garmin. And I want to show you just from my personal experience why I think that's true. And let's get started by first talking a little bit about what APIs can do for you and why it may be a disadvantage if you don't think about them. APIs allow you to do other things with your products that you, for yourself, don't think about, don't have the time to do. Generally speaking, they allow value co-creation, meaning that if it fits into your business model, and that of course is very important, you can benefit from others doing cool stuff with your products. My point with the Remarkable tablet was that they don't really have the time to make a very good app for communicating with a tablet, and that's fine. They should build a great tablet, which they did. But by not giving it an API, they do prevent others from doing the things that they don't do. And that can be a serious disadvantage. And I am confident that they are losing sales because of that. And it's always hard to quantify these kind of opportunity costs, but I think they are substantial. And the same, I think, is true for Garmin. Just a brief history of my Garmin usage. Garmin, I think, makes great hardware. I've used Garmin devices literally for the last 10 years. I've had, I don't know, probably 10 of these watches. I always buy the latest one because I think they're great. And Garmin is really good at making good hardware. So for example, this one here is called the Forerunner 945 and it has maps. This is awesome, in particular when I was still traveling, because whenever I got to a new place, I could just look at my map on my watch. I could plan a route and then just follow the route, and I could use tools for doing that. So I used tools such as Strava, and that allowed me to plan routes. And there was a little bit of an integration with Strava and Garmin, which they turned off after a while, and now it's different and not great, but it kind of works. But it's a very limited way of how Garmin allows you to do that by specifically saying, we provide a way how somebody can kind of upload or synchronize routes with the Garmin website, and then the Garmin website syncs to your watch. That kind of works. It's not great, but it works. But I think they're missing out on so much more. And I want to give you two examples. But again, think about it like this. I think Garmin makes great hardware. Their firmware is, their software typically is really, really bad. And again, that's fine, I think, because Garmin is not a software company and they should focus on making great hardware, which they do. But I think what they miss out on is the opportunity that others can supplement their great hardware with good software ideas. And then they get to sell more hardware because you can now do more cool things with the hardware. That kind of cost is really hard to quantify, like I said, opportunity cost, right? Like how many units did we not sell because we have no clue what APIs could do for us. So I guess Garmin is doing fine from what I read, so maybe all of this is hypothetical. But I really do think there's just so much missed opportunity out there, and it's just kind of sad to see it. And my long-term goal will be to make sure that every product manager needs to hear about APIs and needs to learn what they can do for them so that they keep these things in mind. That is a very ambitious goal. Until then, I think I will keep making these small little videos showing you examples of where I think this is really very apparent. For the watch, let me give you two examples. There's one really nice website I discovered a little while ago, which is called Citystrides. Citystrides looks like this. It gives you a map of anywhere. It's based on OpenStreetMap data. And you can sync it, for example, with Strava or with Garmin, whatever. And they give you a map view, and they give you, this is unique about Citystrides, a percentage of how many roads of a given city you've run. So this is Zurich, where I live, and my totally pointless but interesting goal now is to run every single street in Zurich. And according to Citystrides, I'm now at around 60%. There are around 2,000 streets. Now, my point is, what I can do with Citystrides is the following thing. I can look at the city. I can zoom in. Here, for example, are the parts of Zurich, the more western parts where I don't live, so I don't run there this much. I can zoom in further. And then once I'm really zoomed down to the street level, Citystrides allows me to show these, what they call nodes. These are basically just the little road markers from OpenStreetMap. And this is how Citystrides decides that this is a road that you have to run so that it counts as completed. What I would love to do is see those little red dots on my watch. And there's nothing, technically speaking, that speaks against it. The maps have layers, and I'm sure somehow I could put in those little red dots in the layers. So if there was an API where Citystrides, after each run that I've completed, could update the map data on my watch, I would have a really nice way of just being able to look at my watch and figure out where I need to go. What I'm doing now is I plan these routes ahead because that's the only way to do it, but it's just a missed opportunity how people who have these goals and want to do stuff that is not just a route, but something else, right, could do something that would be relevant for them. So I think one API, how you could upload data and overlay to your Garmin would be really nice. And let me give you a second example. And because, as you may have realized by now, I really like being outside and moving around. My second example is similar, but for cycling. The second example is Wandrer. Wandrer is a site that is kind of similar to Citystrides, but a little bit different. Wandrer doesn't really focus on cities, but they focus on cycling. And they allow you to just better have an understanding of where you've been already and where you haven't been. So this, again, is a map of Zurich, in this case in Wandrer. Then what I can do, I can show all the roads that I have been cycling on. These are the blue roads in this example. I can also show a map of all the roads I have not been cycling on so far, which are those red roads. And I can also, of course, take away the blue ones and just show the red ones. For me, this is an interesting view because now when I go riding, and I like riding, I can now look at this and figure out, oh, I haven't been on this road. Maybe I want to go this way and see how this road is. And this may allow you to explore new things. And I really like this idea of having some way of guiding you to places where you haven't been. I think that's really nice. I really try on each of my rides, I try to ride a road that I haven't been on so far. That again is a pretty random goal, but doesn't matter. It's a goal that I have. And once again, being able to look at this map of unridden roads on my Garmin, in this case, it would be nice to have it on my Garmin on my bike. I have a Garmin for my bike as well. As I said, I like Garmins. That would be really nice. And in that case, Wandrer actually makes this possible because from Wandrer, you can export this overlay with the red roads there. And then you can upload this to your Garmin, but you have to use a cable and you have to synchronize the drive, so to speak, of the Garmin with your computer, and then you have to move this overlay into a certain folder. And of course, you only do this every couple months because it's just too much work to do it. And again, if there was an API where after each ride, I could update this information on my Garmin through some synchronization process, that would be awesome. And again, it would be something where people who have a certain interest and are interested in a certain overlay of information on their Garmins, they would have an easy way to do that. And again, Garmin wouldn't need to do anything. The only thing they would need to do is have an API that would then be authorized through my Garmin account, and I would make sure that in that case, the Wandrer app can connect to the API through my account. And then that would mean that anytime that Wandrer is pushing new data to my devices, it would be allowed to do so through the API. And if you had reasonable API management in place, you could make sure that this happens securely, that the servers don't get overloaded, and all these kind of things. It's this completely standard procedure. So I'm guessing that you're not quite into running and writing and maps and all of this. But I think what is interesting is really just to think about how could we make products better, and how could we unlock product potential by thinking of products as APIs. Like, how could I make the product better through an API, and how much effort would that cost me, and how much opportunity would I create that then allows my product to be more successful in the market. And I really think that this example of the Garmin watch, right, is really another good example of where you can see that it wouldn't take much, but it would probably make a huge difference. And once again, because I think Garmin is pretty successful, I don't see this happening. And also because Garmin, again, in the software department, they're really not all that great. They're just very good at hardware. But it just is something where I think about all the missed opportunities, and when I see it, I'm wondering, why isn't every product manager in the world more thinking about APIs and how it could help them? I think it's really something where we need to start not just about digital products and digital this and that, but any product out there. I think I'll keep making more of those videos whenever I run into these things, and I think there's countless examples that you could look at like this. If you happen to have a good one, let me know. And that is all that I wanted to talk about today. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.